audio's playing.
We ready to go?
Are we ready to go? I think we're ready to go.
Welcome, one and all, to the My Shot of Life podcast.
Wow, dude. Wow. Did you just steal my opening?
Stepping on some toes here.
Wow. I shouldn't invite you over to my house. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of the podcast. Got another good topic today, guys. Starting it off, we got Space Dust Coast to Coast. Elysian.
Nice.
I
got the reference there.
Throwback Saturday, right? It's out of Washington, Seattle, Washington. You know, full of hipster juice. I think the way that they make these, it's similar to wine, but they get all the hops in a barrel. They hire the most hipster person they can find at one of the, liberal art colleges there, and then they just mash the hops, just like wine, with the grapes and the dirty feet. So, whoever's got the smelliest Bob Marley hoodie, they do that. I think that's how it works. Right?
Sounds right.
Okay.
Sounds right. So today, in conjunction with Space Dust, we figure that the only time anyone's going to space is if there's an apocalypse here on Earth. So we're talking about the total destruction and death of the world today. You excited about it?
I think that's one of my favorite things to talk about.
All right. So we're going to drink this hopefully delicious, I've never had it before.
Really?
Beer, and we
are
going to talk about apocalypses, types.
Yeah, the end times, as they call it.
The end times, how they're portrayed, their origin story, all that fun stuff for you.
Sure.
We've also got
Idioms for Idiots.
Idioms for Idiots.
Oh,
we have Dead as a Doornail, which I guess goes right along with that as well. And lastly today, Steven, guess what we've got? We've got your favorite segment. Versus.
Okay.
And for that, we will be discussing our favorite,
movie? Apocalyptic movie?
It's
not
a
disaster.
Portrayal.
Okay.
Best portrayal of a type of apocalypse in a movie.
Sure. Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Right on. So let's get this started.
Started off Space Dust with the, was it 9%? Would you say it was?
8.2.
8.2.
Hefty. It's a big boy.
A little sweet on the flavor.
It's your classic Citra-based IPA.
But it's got a lot of flavor for an 8% beer.
Yes, it's not just trying to hit home.
You don't feel the alcohol, really.
You're not trying to get crunk,
Okay, so jumping into this, as you can see, guys, in the video podcast,
Steve's been working out.
Yeah, I've been working out. I'm doing my best Braxton Beverly impression today by wearing the NC State jersey after the home win.
Yeah.
And I have a little bit of the weak scruff too. So.
Half sleeve, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, and maybe have my hair constantly, flared out. Yeah, it happens. It happens. But I don't work out enough for it to be like that whenever I wake up in the morning. So, Victor, the apocalypse. What do you think of it, or what do you think about whenever I say the word apocalypse? Are you initially jumping to conclusions about crickets? What are they called? Locusts. Yeah.
I think apocalypse has kind of lost its meaning over time.
Because of all the fake predictions.
Not the fake prediction. Yes, partially that.
Parks and Rec.
But I think it has a lot to do with the portrayal that we have. So originally it's based off of the biblical book of Revelation. The four horsemen of the apocalypse come in and
say what up,
do their worst, and it's the final and complete destruction of the world, right? Yeah. That's what an apocalypse is. Now over time we've seen people predict the apocalypse, or wrongly predict the apocalypse, and then we've seen these portrayals for entertainment purposes, their interpretation of the apocalypse as something different. It's more of a, there's no more technology, there's nuclear fallout, that's their portrayal of what an apocalypse is. So that's what I feel more comfortable with. But to me, the apocalypse is the end of ends. There's no preparing for it. There's no.
So you think it would just happen overnight, or do you think it it would get to the point where you just realize it's coming and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I don't think it much matters. There's no survival out of this. You know, I think of doomsday preppers, and like, good for you. You guys will be good for a couple months, years, whatever.
Dude, by the time you have to come up,
but you're gonna be dead. So
you can only store so many, you know, baked beans and.
Speaking of which, you ready for this?
What?
Quick fun fact: Costco just dropped a 90-pound bucket of mac and cheese. Oh no, not 90 pounds. I'm sorry. It's $90. That would be insane. It's like a 24-pound
my
bucket.
Girlfriend because she would
24-pound bucket for $90, and it lasts 20 years. For all you preppers out there.
Do you think you could live off of mac and cheese for 20 years though?
No, absolutely.
That would make me throw up after.
I mean,
one day.
you could have it for 20 years. You wouldn't have to eat it every meal for 20 years.
I mean, if it's 90 pounds, that's a.
Steven, you're 90 pounds.
Okay, so you're a. There's no hope left in the world once the.
That's
once
how I
there's
view
signs.
an apocalypse. Yeah.
Okay. So you're, in your opinion, the apocalypse is literally the end of everything.
That's it.
Okay, but I guess how would you wouldn't be able to consider an apocalypse until after it's already happened, right?
I'd be gone, man.
But I mean, by your definition, you would never be able to call it the apocalypse in present tense because you wouldn't
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now there are apocalyptic signs. Is that still a thing, or is that more of like a? I guess that was more of like a religious perspective, right? So like you think, here's something actually I remember. Whenever Obama was running for president. Here's for all the conspiracy theorists out there. This is hilarious because people actually believe this. They thought that he was the devil incarnate, and he was going to be the Antichrist, and he was going to take over as the leader of our country. And I don't know if this is because he was black. I don't know if that's necessarily the thing. I think a lot of whoever created it was probably created on the internet. Obviously, it was 2008, probably. So it was still very. I get early-ish in the internet days, but I mean, conspiracy theories, long-lived conspiracy theories on the internet, you know.
They make for great entertainment.
Ever since 2001, I mean, I think the stock rose like memes. But yeah, they thought he was going to be the Antichrist, and then so that was like the deal of getting people to don't vote for him because if he does, then we're gonna lose our way of living and we're gonna lose the right of our guns and everything. And I feel like that's always been the thing to scare people into voting against a Democrat.
That the apocalypse is coming if you vote for.
No, not necessarily, but
something along those
people
lines.
are able to heighten up a certain crowd of people because of the fear of their way of life is going to end, right? So in a an apocalyptic in a way, right? So not necessarily that everything's going to end, but this is going to just ruin it for everybody to the point where it's almost like everything has ended. Everything that has ended, I guess. So I always thought that was very creepy and interesting that people were able to get away with that and then convincingly get away with it, and other people would just bite it.
And that's kind of a lighthearted take, I guess, where people with their conspiracy theories, like as apocalyptic, you're losing your way of life, and so that's being taken away from you, and they're equating it to something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, what would your definition of an apocalypse be? Like, are you all in like I am, or are you kind of like, different portrayals?
So maybe like climate change could be apocalyptic. So I think when you say it like that, when you say the apocalypse, it is the end, in my opinion. If it is apocalyptic, it is an event that could devastate everything, or it could alter everyone's way of life.
I think the only flaw you have there is that climate change isn't real. So
according to many people, I guess, who don't do
the internet.
The internet,
said,
that's
true. It was
like
told me the Earth was flat and that climate change isn't real.
So. There are now space deniers.
We've never been to space, or
space doesn't exist.
Okay, well,
dude, and here, let me tell you this: the people who, all right, I don't know much about this.
People who are doomsday preppers.
Oh, I'm sure. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to. Whoever's out there, sorry, but
not sorry.
Yeah. So not only okay, so there's the flat earthers and there's the non-spacers, I guess. I don't know what you want to call them, but the flat earthers think those people are stupid. So like, there's a hierarchy of conspiracy theories. Yeah.
Hierarchy of conspiracy.
Yeah, and then that's at the baseline. That maybe people being aliens, or not aliens, lizard people. That's a huge thing, right? Maybe not huge. I think that's always been like a classic made up conspiracy theory. And I would actually like to go into a conspiracy episode later on because I love reading all of this fiction, right? It's hilarious. It's and people are very convincing in the way that they make it, right? So, again, there's this hierarchy of maybe not truth, but maybe the more likelihood that it's true is, I would say, is at the top, and then the bottom is your non-spacers, right?
Non-spacers.
So,
I love it.
So I guess we could say that an astronaut wouldn't hit the Earth because there's no space, so why would it, right? I just saw an article today by NASA that said in the next century we could get hit by an asteroid.
How big?
I didn't read the article.
Also, I saw a headline that said...
I read like a sentence. It's got like boo-boo or something like that.
I guess that's also like a direction I wanted to go here. I would say the closest apocalyptic event that has ever occurred, regardless of what you believe, the wipeout of the dinosaurs, right?
Okay.
So...
Yeah, I think that's the closest.
Yeah,
again,
and that relates to that. You have a meteor or asteroid or whatever crash into Earth, and all life ceases to exist. Well, that's not correct. It was something had to have continued living. Or maybe single-celled organisms, bacteria or something. Existed, and from that, life developed on Earth.
So I guess in that theory, is it even possible to have an apocalypse? Because is it given that something is going to exist,
right? And that's
despite maybe all human life ends or whatever. But
people say all the time about like nuclear war and nuclear fallout and the nuclear apocalypse. Yeah. We already know that cockroaches can survive that.
Yeah.
So some form of life could potentially make it out of that.
Could you imagine living through in your bunker and then, leaving your bunker 5 years later to see 20-foot cockroaches? And you're just fighting them off.
People-sized cockroaches.
I bet that meat's probably not good to eat either.
Cockroach meat?
Oh, yeah.
Could be good. What's that?
I think so. It probably has so much
milk?
bacteria.
Isn't that a thing?
Even
Cockroach milk?
Oh.
What's the new fad that those...
It's probably a joke, though.
Crazy vegan people were talking about?
Is it almond... something with
cockroach milk.
That's not a real thing, dude. This guy's looking up cockroach milk. I'm thinking goat milk is probably good. I don't know what spider milk, right? Crow milk.
Spider milk.
Is it spider milk?
Pump out a type of milk containing protein crystals. There is one specific
type
of cockroach that gives birth. They don't lay eggs; they give birth.
Oh, that sounds disgusting.
And they pump out a milk.
That makes me want to throw up just thinking about it.
The crystals are like a complete food. They have proteins, fats, and sugars.
I'm okay with spiders. Like, I don't like them. But if I see a cockroach, I'm not into that. I'm going to burn my house down. I'll move into another house. It says
some people are drinking it.
Hey man, super vegans, right?
Weird people.
Yeah. Okay, so cockroaches would live. What else would live?
Possibly, organisms that we can't see in the naked eye. You've got your classic.
I guess if the whole planet were to be destroyed, then other planets would likely have life. There would have to be a planet somewhere in the universe, right? If you're a spacer and not a non-spacer, would exist. So is the apocalypse just singled into human life, the planet, the solar system, or the universe? And then is a black hole, even if the whole universe was wiped out, is a black hole leading into another universe. So, boom. Already busted the logic for anybody who's doubting that. There's no way to ever have an apocalypse.
It's not possible.
Impossible. So
that's fine. That's
debunked.
okay with me.
Debunked.
I'm all right with that.
It's a good thing, right? Now, are there any Did you ever get freaked out by any apocalypse theories when you were younger? Because, like, when you're younger, you haven't heard the religious cults who would say, this is going to happen on this day. Like, I interpreted the book to read this. I mean, there was the Mayan calendar in 2012, right? That was a big thing.
That was the only thing. I mean, it's not like I cared about it.
Yeah.
But it was the only thing I was really aware of as far as being a potential,
Because I always
feel like there were other theories before that that had
2000.
Oh, that's right, Y2K.
Yeah, and that wasn't necessarily like apocalyptic, but it would be. I guess the idea was that everything would revert us back to like a Stone Age type situation, which I still don't understand why it would go that far back. But whether the clocks would all shut down or all the
major inconvenience.
Not even electricity, but the power grid maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about
Microsoft Excel would stop working.
You couldn't go to work the next day because you couldn't do Excel. That would be.
I think you're talking about 1900 instead of.
That would be that'd actually be a tough job to have if you didn't have Microsoft Excel.
Crazy, man.
Yeah. Talk about inefficiencies, right? So 2000, that was pretty big, but I think we were both really young. I mean, 9 years old.
2001, A Space Odyssey.
I don't think anybody expected a giant baby to be the result of the apocalypse. Was there a giant baby?
Something about that. I know there was a dancing baby.
A dancing baby in 2001?
Not in 2001, but...
Isn't there a 2030 Space Odyssey 2 or something?
I don't know.
Fact check it.
Space
Fact check it.
Odyssey. Well, popped up.
It's got a baby on the cover of it.
2061.
2061, there you go.
3001, The Final Odyssey.
Yeah, no one watched that movie. Stanley Kubrick, I don't think had anything to do with the sequel or either sequel, I guess.
That's correct.
Okay, so we're talking about. Let's see here.
Portrayals
of it. I don't know any other ones. There had to be like the Jim Jones cult, right? Was that? Do you think that was like a? I guess that wasn't an apocalypse. That was more of like an enlightenment. They took the
what was the reasoning
I think the cult was going to get shut down because remember they had been infiltrated by. There was a U.S. Lawmaker, a senator or a congressman was there, I think, and then he got killed. And I want to say the CIA or something was going to infiltrate it or something, and then they had just committed suicide. But that's not anything necessarily about the apocalypse, though. But there's been plenty of the let's kill ourselves to get enlightened because the world is going to end anyway.
To go to a higher place.
There's the Parks and Rec episode where they rent out the park. That's really funny. They rent out the park once a year or something because one of the guys interprets some religious text to
it's
say.
Not even a religious text.
Oh, it's not.
It's like some guy's novel.
A novel to say when the world is going to end, and so that. Do they even drink stuff, or are they just expecting to die?
They're just expecting to die.
Okay. Because I know that they went to the park. Spoilers for those who don't watch Parks and Rec. I don't know what the group was called, but they reserved the park for a day, and then the next day, whenever it didn't come through, the guy came in the office and he's like, this is the scripture that says it, and he's like, I need to have a
mathematical error in calculating the day the world was going to end.
No, what was funny was that he said that, right, and then he picked a day for the next year. And then she's like, no, the day's booked up there. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Thursday? I meant Saturday. And then she's like, okay, Saturday's available. And he's like, yeah, that's right. So I think
pretty much how all these theories tend to go. I think.
Definitely scamming people out of money, I did think 2012 was really freaky, though. I wasn't expecting... 2012? Yeah, the 2012... I guess it was supposed to be a meteor, or it was supposed to happen
the Mayan thing.
The Mayan calendar thing. I remember kind of being freaked out about that. I was like, I swear if I just graduated college and I die tomorrow, I'm going to be pissed off because I just passed my exams.
Damn it.
Yeah. At that point, I think I was beyond the ridiculousness of it. But I remember in 2012, the movie was coming out, because they made the movie about it, They made a trailer where it was like, I guess they were referring to the Bible where there'll be massive floods and there'll be all these weather, natural disaster type things, right? And they had this trailer put together to make it seem like we were going through the end times, and it was very creepy. Like, it was like, oh man, they're right, you know.
Are they though, Steven? They?
It was a great marketing campaign. The movie was trash.
Because they have, I mean, you've seen it, and you mentioned climate change earlier, and I think this has a direct impact on the exciting weather phenomenon.
You want some beer, bud?
That dog.
The dog wants to lick the beer off my lips.
I mean, there have been an increase in a lot of natural disasters, and I think, and the severity of them as well.
And earthquakes have been pretty bad the past year too.
Earthquakes. I mean, you got hurricanes rolling through.
Wasn't there an earthquake?
There's not necessarily more, but they're more powerful.
Yeah.
There was a volcano in Indonesia collapsed in on itself and caused an earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia.
Interesting.
It's crazy.
Now about the.
Do you think that it's a sign? Is it coming?
Sign from the Earth.
The Earth. It's like, yo, I'm done with you people. Invest in solar. But we're not.
Maybe. Yeah, so. I know, right? That's a weird thing. I don't know. Wasn't there an earthquake on the East Coast this past year in 2018?
Probably, yeah. There was one recently.
It was kind of strange,
yeah, within the last couple months that hit. I know they felt it in Jackson.
we have a dog trying to lick the camera here.
That hit near.
Was it Missouri?
Like Tennessee?
Yeah, see, I thought it was a fault line on the East Coast.
They felt it in Tennessee and Georgia.
But that doesn't happen ever, right?
Right.
So that's even stranger.
Normal.
And I don't know much about fracking, but I read somewhere that fracking has an effect on earthquake and fault lines. I guess you're drying out the land. I don't know.
You're removing a layer, essentially.
Yeah. So, I guess, what is your favorite apocalyptic story? Do you have one?
Dude, I've been a big fan, and most people are, of the zombie apocalypse style portrayal. Okay. That's not going to play into my movie choice, but I think just in general for entertainment purposes, it seems like, you know, when you think of the show Doomsday Preppers and you think of the shows that have spun off of either Walking Dead or, you know, been inspired by that, that's where it's at. You don't think about surviving an apocalypse anymore. You think about surviving a zombie apocalypse. That's kind of what we've been conditioned to do as, you know, the youth of the nation, and taking all of this information in. So when you're planning, you know, yeah, you're gonna have food, you're gonna have guns, but you've always got this strategy. And there's a great episode of I think it's Film Theory. Shout out to that YouTube channel. Go check it out. They have the ideal, or like the perfect place to live in a zombie apocalypse situation.
Is it an island?
It is not. It's
really?
Somewhere in. It's either in like Canada or like the northern U.S.
Where it's cold?
It's the combination where you have like a certain temperature, like for seasons. Like you can still grow crops. It's not too cold, but not too hot.
Yeah.
Like you can grow certain crops.
I guess what was the idea
and you
behind
can
that?
have certain types of livestock. And it was like the ability to, like, the zombies in the south are going to degenerate. What's the word? Yeah, they're gonna like dissolve essentially because of the heat. Over time, they're not gonna be like functional anymore. And if they're too far north, like they're gonna freeze, and other things will die, and so they're not gonna have anything to feed off of, so they're gonna die. And so there was like this sweet spot where, like, yeah, there might be zombies, but you should be able to handle them and then survive based on your ability to farm and to raise livestock.
That's with the assumption that they would need nutrients to continue their drive, otherwise they wouldn't have any energy.
Right.
And the CDC actually came out with a campaign about zombie preparedness and zombie emergencies, like how to handle it. It was kind of
Tyson said that zombification isn't possible.
Well, it was a tongue-in-cheek type thing, though. So it was a joke, but they came out, like, they actually went through, with the taxpayer dollars, by the way, coming out with zombie preparedness. Thanks, important. By the way.
Are you prepared? I'm prepared.
Now, I'm an old-fashioned guy, so I'm going to have to go with alien invasion.
All right.
Now,
Mars attacks?
Invasion? as long as I have, what is my man's name? He plays the Joker in the first Batman. Not the first one, but the...
Caitlyn Jenner.
Do you think Caitlyn Jenner puts on her makeup like the Joker? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know. Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson. So he plays like 3 different people in Mars Attack, by the way.
Does he really?
Yeah, it's hilarious. That would be kind of funny, I guess. They had like a laser gun that just...
Oh, you mean a Mars Attack style?
Mars Attack, yeah. Now again, that's an apocalyptic event, but it's not the apocalypse. So I think it could... I don't even know if I could say it could be possible. There's an episode of South Park where they block off the entire Earth from the rest of the galaxy. What do they call it? Like the galaxy group or something like that. So we're isolated. We lied to the Confederation or something like that. It was a test. Have you not seen the episode? Mm-mm. So it was a Pinewood Derby competition.
Nice.
Stan and his dad cheated in the Pinewood Derby competition and put a nuclear rod in it.
Jesus.
And so it shot out into outer space. Obviously, they won. And so aliens made contact with Earth because they're like, oh, they have the technology now. Now we have to give them the test to figure out if they're willing or if they are worthy to be in the Confederation. And then they go to South Park and, everyone lies on behalf of the country. There's this bad guy, Baby Fart McGeezax is his name, and they kill him, and they take all this space cash. It's it's quite a good episode actually, but the result was, for those who have seen it, or spoilers for those who haven't, the Earth becomes isolated against the rest of the universe because we were so irresponsible with the way the scenario went down. It was pretty funny. They actually put a cube around Earth so that we couldn't leave and talk to anyone outside the planet or space.
Sounds very Earth-like.
Very Earth-like, yeah. I was not surprised by the result. So that was pretty funny. I don't know, man. I mean, like, I don't think it would happen, but like I said, I'm an old-fashioned guy, so that's the traditional way to do it, I feel like. Alien invasion. If we have water on our side, we have water guns. We have 68% of the planet, 72%. I don't know. I don't do the math.
Something like that.
So we have the resources. If you're watching Signs and thinking that's the way to do it, otherwise we might be screwed because I'm sure we don't have the technology to shoot laser beams at people and make them disintegrate like Mars Attacks.
It's true. We do have pretty powerful lasers, but we're not at that level yet. Yeah. I don't think.
Yeah. Now, what about...
I think we're researching it. There was a conspiracy theory out there that the California wildfires were caused by the government shooting high-powered military-grade lasers down from satellites in space. Not a joke.
That sounds
like a real thing.
That sounds like Command and Conquer. Have you played that game? It's a RTS game on the computer.
But it is being heavily researched for military purposes. High-powered, lasers like that.
We have something. It's like it's a sound. You beam a sound at someone, and only that person can hear it, and it like ruptures their eardrum or something like that. Jeez. So
I've been down that road with ruptured eardrums before. I don't recommend it to anybody.
So we have a couple of things we brought up: zombie apocalypse. I think natural disasters we talked a lot about.
Alien invasion.
Looking at a list here, we have Voldemort.
Voldemort's on there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible.
No, but on a serious note, what about apes conquering the planet?
Planet of the Apes.
So this is with the assumption, and we'll just go with, and I know we've already explained what we thought apocalypse is. Let's consider it as all of humankind dies, right?
Okay. As opposed to all living beings, just
humans, because, I mean, who really cares about other beings, right?
True.
We honestly don't care as a nation or the world in
Except
general.
Dogs are amazing.
Yeah, dogs are. Well, People in my apartment
All people
complex
and
don't
all
like dogs. But, okay, anyways. The singularity. So we can be, symbiotic with robots, or, like the Matrix, we would become the batteries for the robots. So they would drain the soul, consciousness, energy, I don't know, our being into their existence. But what would be their purpose to exist?
It's a good question.
I don't know.
I mean,
but you think it could be possible that the computers take over?
Yeah, obviously, someday.
AI just gets so difficult? Or
there's got to be like free
advanced?
thought at some point.
You would think so.
Like, we developed from who knows what initially, and eventually developed. You know, what separates us from other beings is obviously language, and then also like free will, you know, the ability to think and do on our own. Think and do, NC State.
But the thing, a fault that we have, that could be a fault, or maybe it's something that a computer wouldn't be able to have the capability of, is having doubt in yourself, or being able to help someone else out. So would a robot even have the obligation to help out another robot?
They wouldn't have the obligation.
Or would it be
So I think they would be self-motivated. I mean, they would be able to collect and process information at a rate,
but if
you look
Joe
at
Robot and then
that's what I'm saying. If
Schmitty
Joe Robot's over there getting like hammered on by a bunch of humans, Argo Robot over here is going to be running the different
scenarios. But is he going to be jealous, or does he even care? Bruce Robot might be.
Bruce Robot's going to be like, all right, if I go help that other robot, I have a 36% chance of survival. Not worth it.
And leave. Okay, I can see that.
You know, they're going to run all these scenarios and hit the hard facts.
But then the thing is, when they run the scenarios, it's like that. It's not even they have to think about it like a human would.
Right.
It would be literally a millisecond. And I'm going to go over here.
Now, in order to conquer the world, I'm assuming they would have to somehow work together and be able to make the differentiation.
Or they're attacking each other because of that. There's a book right there. That's a topic for a book. The robots take over, but then they get selfish because they have no obligation or even
they don't have like
desire.
Any challenges.
There's no desire to not compete, but to work together. So then they're not only killing humans, but they're also killing each other because they want to be the one power.
That's what humans have done.
Let's contact George R.R. Martin to make this. Except for it would take 40 years to do it.
Humans all started out on the same level, and look at us now. All of a sudden, we have. You know, it's a power grab.
So I got another one for you. Carnivorous zombie sheep.
Zombie sheep?
Yeah. Oh, that's a movie, actually.
What is the current
ratio
Irish movie of sheep to people?
I think we got that one. Giant monsters. Godzilla.
I don't know.
Chimera.
I mean, if we're basing things off of, what was that movie that came out where the two people powered the big robot?
Voltron?
Dagwood.
Nope. I know what you're talking about.
The one, it happens
it's got Charlie
on the
Kelly
West,
in it.
I don't know who that is, but it happens on the West Coast.
Pacific Rim.
It might not
What's
actually
the other
happen.
Atlantic Rim? Did you see that?
Does Pacific Rim take place on the Pacific Coast? Because if it doesn't, I'm an idiot.
Wow, dude. How about I'm on Kiora, right?
I mean, I think we can take giant monsters. We've got technology and stuff. And a worst case scenario, you know, always last in the arsenal is the nuke. I mean,
you would blast a whole city.
Got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Greater good. We've talked about that on a season 1 episode. You do things for the greater good.
I guess you could do that. Global starvation. So
that is more realistic than probably anything.
So maybe with climate change. So if we go with that, right? Instead of us burning up to death, maybe there's so many places that are incapable of producing like crops or certain things that we use on a daily basis. Maybe cows die if their internal body temperature stays at 98 degrees. I don't know, I'm just making something up, but if it got hot enough outside that they can't live anymore, then that's one less, food resource that we could have.
I mean, we would see the whole structure of, that chain of the food chain, and like the environment would change so much. You lose one species and that could...
Yeah, or you lose a crop, or you lose multiple crops and multiple species, and then there you go. Then we have to genetically, create food for everybody, and then we don't know what it would affect on, or what the effect would be on humans.
And part of the problem they've said is, overpopulation. So we're looking at places, you're having a bunch of kids and stuff that you can't support with food and sustenance, and so...
Yeah. Well, they say that once you become a first world country, then the rate of...
starvation.
No.
Goes down.
Well, that definitely goes down, but the rate of reproduction goes down.
Are we in a first world country? They have said something about the United States recently. I read this on Twitter the other day, that we're not popping out kids at a...
Didn't we go down?
Millennials are killing another thing, and it is the United States population.
But that's good, though, right? Wouldn't you want...
I mean, it's good.
I know you want to have growth, but why would you want to continue to have babies?
Right. I mean, I understand that. I'm just saying...
No, yeah, I know.
That's a thing that people have observed, is that we're not reproducing at a rate to sustain the United States population. I don't necessarily care about it. I mean, BFD to me. Other than the fact that, that takes away from the pool of the population, just in case something would happen in the United States and we would need people, that would suck. But I understand wholeheartedly people aren't having like 2.1 kids anymore. They're having one, either for financial reasons or personal reasons, or they're having kids and they're not vaccinating them and their kids are dying. And I just made that up, but you anti-vaxxers get a clue and vax your kid. But it just doesn't make any sense to me that, we have a world population that's able to be supported by what we can produce, and yet people are still like, that will be a thing. Yeah. At some point, we're either going to run out of land or resources, and you're not going to be able to support a continuously growing population.
We'll build structures on water.
That's fair.
Yeah. Or in the clouds, right? Cloud City.
True. Columbia. From BioShock Infinite.
Oh, is that what it's called? Is that from like the
Great
country
game.
Columbia?
Or underwater, like Atlantis, or
like BioShock 1.
Rapture. Yeah.
Rapture. That's such a terrible place to call a place,
Sure.
A terrible name to call a place.
Great setting for a video game, though.
All right, so I have one more I'll bring up, but I also want to go through all the list of, we'll say, honorable mentions, right?
All right.
Are you ready for this?
Bring it on.
Carnivorous plants hungry for a world of blind people. This is all on Kiora, where someone wrote a list out. So whoever, shout out to...
Do they spray stuff in your eyes or something?
Kevin Flint, founder of Apocalypse Chick and Dystopian Studios. So thanks for the post on Kiora.
Preach that. I'm not worried about plants, bro.
Evil children haunting corn patches.
I mean, that is
a
movie.
What's the movie called? That's a Stephen King.
Patch Kids. Sour Patch Kids.
Corn Patch Kids.
Children of the Corn.
Clowns.
Yeah.
And we had that scare in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
Where clowns were literally following people home.
Man,
that's pretty weird.
It did not happen to me, thankfully. I already have a healthy fear of clowns, so.
Zombie vampires.
Damn.
That's a weird combination to have, too. Because, that'd be tough to kill.
Let's think about that.
I don't know how... Hordes of assless chap-wearing bikers with mohawks. Hordes of them.
Hordes of them.
So, clearly they would take over the world. Titans.
Fair.
And the Greek mythology. That'd be pretty interesting, watching them battle it out.
It was just... again, the Film Theory channel, we're really packing a solid suggestion there, but they just recently did a 3-part series on the deadliest Disney movies. And
Hercules.
one of them.
Okay.
Hercules has the Titans come down, and they
Yep.
estimated, based on real life events or mythological events.
Sure.
It was a tie for second place between Atlantis, I guess. Is that what the movie was called?
Yeah, Atlantis, yeah.
And Hercules, because the two core disasters were kind of based on the same natural disaster, some volcano or whatever.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, yeah, so they were based on similar things. So they estimated the death toll to be in like the tens of thousands for a Disney movie. Keep that in mind. And so Hercules was the Titans.
Okay.
That's what that event was represented as.
So I'll give you two more honorable mentions, and then we will get to the last one that I wanted to talk about.
Lay it on me.
Some sort of interdimensional rift through which bad stuff comes through.
Okay.
So, Imagination, is it called Imagination Land, or the South Park episode? I can't remember that one, but I guess the idea there is what Stranger Things is an interdimensional rift, Stargate, right? So, a portal from hell, Doom is pretty big into that. That's how Doom was started, was that demons came from hell through the portal on Earth. So that was a big one. All right. Cloned dinosaurs. So obviously Jurassic Park.
No.
And that's a good one though, right? Because assuming that they can procreate.
Well, that's the thing with, you brought up giant monsters earlier. I don't see much of a difference there. I feel like we have the technology in place to, as long as you're not stupid like they are in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World.
Hey man,
people,
you got to make that cash.
There were a lot of mistakes made there.
But
you
it was
clone
all about
a couple, and you can't release them into the wild. You have to keep them
contained.
Yeah, there's no.
It's just like an oil spill, though, man.
Biodiversity.
It's just like an oil spill. You're like, hey man, we're gonna keep it contained here. Next thing you know, you got triceratopses swimming to New York.
They died out for a reason.
So they can provide us the oil today.
True. Yeah, they couldn't cut it, and they're gone. So if you want to clone them, cool. Do one or two and say, hey, we did this because we're amazing, and then get rid of them. We don't need them. They're not in our ecosystem anymore.
Okay, last one. This is the one we're talking about here. The supernatural battle between gods and demons. So the angels, or gods, and then your demons, devil, kind of like if you've seen Legion, where the minions and the angels battle it out on Earth, or just the minions go to Earth and then we have to battle the minions ourselves, or whatever you want to call it.
That's mean. Go somewhere else and fight.
Is it possible, Victor, that could happen? That would be the end of all.
Sure. Well, if you base the definition of apocalypse off of the religious text, which a lot of people do,
sure,
that's kind of their thing. Then yeah, you have to believe that that's possible.
I always thought that when that happened, and this is a question that I brought up, was if that were to take place and then it just started, what if you shot a rocket out into outer space? Are you still susceptible to demons attacking you in space, or are you safe now? Answer that question.
Space doesn't exist.
Okay. That's a good way to cap off the end of our discussion, Victor.
Voldemort.
It's possible, man. She's not a billionaire for no reason at all.
She wrote those based on real life events.
Exactly.
Huh.
7 3/4, right?
9 3/4 is the train stop.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Come on, man.
So, if the apocalypse happens, what does that mean, Vic? We are dead as a doornail.
It's true. You would be.
But what the hell is a doornail?
A nail in a door.
I told you not to say that. I knew that was gonna happen. I should have prepared myself. I guess the idea is that it's in a giant medieval door, right? But in reality, is any nail not dead, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
they are dead, or they are not dead.
I do not believe that a nail is living at any point in time.
So, is that the point?
Is it? I think it just means like dead, like real dead,
Like it's not moving.
like dead.
So once the nail has
Devoid.
gone in the wall, it ceases its operation. It's like purpose. But then the purpose is that it's holding something in, right?
Well, it just means alive. It just means it's doing something.
No, it's not moving, right? But even if you didn't use it, it wouldn't be moving.
Yeah. Does it have to move to be alive?
I don't know. Are vegetables dead?
I mean, no, but they're alive. They're not a nail.
But
a nail is made of metal.
I was kind of making a bad joke, but
not living.
A nail doesn't move ever, and its purpose is to hold something. But whenever it gets pushed in to its spot, its purpose, right? Doesn't mean it's serving its purpose, and so it's therefore active in its purpose.
It's not living.
I know that, but it has a purpose. Everything has a purpose.
You don't.
Spreading butter, you know?
What is my purpose? You spread butter.
I mean, maybe it's literally a nail in a door that has no purpose. It's in the door because like we had an extra nail and we wanted to have a crazy design on the door. But even then, is that a purpose? So is it really dead? I say we retract that and let's go with something different. Let's get rid of that. Let's come up with as dead as a horse, right? It's like beating a dead horse. As dead as a horse.
I like it.
Okay.
I'm sure Peter will love it too.
Did you see that what PETA came out with?
Yeah.
The suggestions of don't use this anymore, and everyone was like, "No, we don't care."
PETA's the worst.
It's funny that
I can't wait to think about them with every bite of steak I have later tonight. It's gonna be delicious.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of silly. I mean, I guess I get the idea, but no one's maliciously saying these things, right?
And no one's being offended by them.
Instead of saying, kill two birds with one stone, instead try feed two birds with one scone. Don't feed a bird a scone because they'll come back. There'll be more birds.
It's true.
And
or they'll choke and die.
And they'll choke and die because they probably can't take sugar. It's not good.
It's true.
Don't be a guinea pig, be a tester.
Who's getting offended here? That's what I want to know.
PETA.
Do you think birds are out there thinking, how am I going to survive today? As opposed to, oh my God, did you hear that human over there say, kill two birds with one stone? I think he's after us. And they're all like paranoid and stuff.
Whatever aggressive.
No, they don't understand what we're talking about. Get out of here.
How about feed a fed horse instead of beat a dead horse?
Nah, man.
I feel like I've actually heard that.
Why would you
before,
feed a fed horse? You might kill it from overfeeding. There you go, PETA. Way to go. You trying to kill animals now? Other than all your shelters that just euthanize
if the horse is already dead, then you're not offending anybody. You're being really crazy about beating it up.
It's true.
Bring home the bacon. How about bring home the bagels?
No.
What if I'm gluten intolerant?
All right.
What
about this, PETA? Plants are living things too. Why aren't you taking a stand for plants? Huh? Flour, which you use to make bagels, comes from a living plant.
Some people... Yeah, plants do live. They talk to each other. They communicate.
I'm offended, PETA, by you little turds.
Take the bull by the horns. How about take the flower by the thorns?
Flower doesn't have...
Yeah, it does. Like roses do.
Oh, well, yeah.
I think that's the idea. That's a terrible way to say that. Take the flower by the thorns.
Because then you'll bleed. You telling people to cut themselves, PETA?
That is the dumb thing, though, is that's not what that means. Take the bull by the horns, right? Does it? Maybe it does. Okay, you're right. Maybe it is. It's like...
Take life by the balls. That's what I say.
Well, what's the PETA version of that?
Take life by the balls. Sometimes you need two hands, one ball each hand.
Like a bowling ball?
Nah, man.
Basketball?
Like a...
Baseball?
Like a big old meaty testy.
Oh,
bam! No. Take life by the balls.
Okay. Well,
bull by the horns.
Let's get out of there. Let's get out. We're out of
Flower
this.
By the thorns.
Idioms are over, right? We're on to verses. One of the most favorite of favorites. Okay, Vic.
What do you got?
You like apocalyptic movies, right?
Big time, big time.
Shaun of the Dead, 2012. Did you think of Shaun of the Dead? Was that even on your list?
I didn't think about 2012, but I thought
That movie
about
sucks, dude.
Shaun
It's so
of the
bad.
Dead.
How about The Day After Tomorrow? That was a climate change
I was
movie.
between
pretty
two.
good.
Shaun of the Dead
Okay, so you actually thought about it?
was one, and This Is the End.
Okay, that was pretty funny. It was a little bit strange.
It definitely strange.
That's the biblical apocalyptic idea.
I like the humor in it. I liked a lot of the
goofy.
portrayals in it, and
They
the
played
comedy.
themselves, which was very meta.
Super meta. Just the way it was presented was, entertaining. It wasn't necessarily the type of apocalypse that was going on around them, but the portrayal and the acting, and it was just, comedic. It wasn't genius, but it was
pretty good.
It was a good movie.
It was solid. They had some good cameos. Let's see.
Emma
here.
Watson was in it, and that pretty much made the movie for me.
Armageddon came out with one of the greatest, or the movie Armageddon resulted in one of the greatest love songs of all time by Aerosmith. So
True.
that's definitely on the list.
That song gets me.
That's like I'm not
emotionally-
turning the radio station when that comes on.
Emotionally, just like woo.
Let's see. We have Armageddon. What's the Deep Impact? Not a fan. Not a big fan. I think they came around the same time. Wasn't interested. I mean, it did have. I will say, if it came out in 2010, you got. Who was the president in that movie?
Richard Nixon.
No.
You mean who played the president in
Yeah.
the movie?
Yeah. Who played the president in that movie?
Which movie was it?
Deep Impact.
I don't remember.
Who plays God in Bruce Almighty?
The Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman. So he played the president in Deep Impact, right? If that if that movie comes out in 2010, I'm watching it all day.
Elijah Wood's in that movie?
Yeah, it's boring. It's really boring. It's very...
Vanessa Redgrave? Never heard
It's
of her.
like how... Say that you did Armageddon. Instead of the action, like getting the astronauts ready, it's more of from the public's perspective and then everybody freaking out about it. Not as good.
Not quite as entertaining.
Okay, there's another movie I thought with... There was like nuclear bombs that went off. Maybe this isn't even apocalyptic, but it's got Ben Affleck in it. He's in a helicopter and I don't know, a nuclear bomb goes off. Maybe I don't know that one. Sum of All Fears? Is that a movie?
It is a movie.
Is that the movie? I don't know. They need to make a James Bond movie with an apocalypse event. That'd be cool.
Sum of All Fears.
That's got Morgan
Ben
Freeman.
Affleck is in it.
Morgan Freeman's in that too.
Yes, he is.
He's probably the president.
One that I didn't
Let's
mention.
make an episode about all Morgan Freeman president movies. 2. War of the Worlds. There you go. Alien invasion.
War of the Worlds.
And then
that freaks some people
What
out.
kills them is sneezing. What?
Sneezing? What about the
Germs.
happening?
That
Was that the
movie
plant one?
sucked.
Was that the plant one you said?
Yep. Where like they would breathe in the air and they would kill themselves. Yeah. That was terrible. That was pretty much Bird
Lame.
Box.
Bird Box.
Did you watch Bird Box, by the way?
I didn't. I refused to watch
That's
it.
apocalyptic in a way, right? So
I
everyone
refuse. They
Spoilers.
remade
Don't watch it.
John
anyways.
Krasinski's movie, except instead of not being able to talk, you're not allowed to look. There you go.
let's like hire Sandra Bullock, and then everyone will watch it. Also,
weak
fraud.
Weak.
All I have to say is fraud.
So
Signs.
That was like the OG for me.
That
as far
was
as like
good.
first movies I saw that kind of like.
I
Did
didn't
they
think about
really
it.
depict an apocalypse though? It was more of like just an alien invasion kind of.
Yeah, but I think the idea was that we would have.
Eventually divulged.
Yeah, they would have
into-
taken like one of the characters, the son and the kid who looked like,
the creepy.
Home Alone kid.
Yeah.
He looked just like him, dude. Anyways, not the same kid. He read some book saying that they would either enslave or they would use us for meat.
Fair.
Right. So I think the idea was that we would eventually be taken over.
I did not mention After the Dark, also known as The Philosophers, came out in 2013.
Okay. Did you like that? I made you watch
did
it.
enjoy that. You did make me watch it. I really enjoyed it. I've actually watched it twice. The soundtrack also is really good if you're interested
Right.
in movie soundtracks.
Where they talk through the scenario of going through an apocalyptic fallout.
Yes.
That's
and
really good.
It's the philosophy behind it. So the class is an actual philosophy, and like making decisions and why you make the decisions, and then the result of those decisions.
Yeah,
as they are portrayed.
Where it was like, who would you want to have on your island? Do you want to have a doctor, a politician, a car mechanic? Like, who would you really want to have?
Yeah.
And then you find out there's not just that. It's like the layer of, okay, well, the doctor is also a pedophile.
Yeah.
Okay, do you really want the doctor on your island?
And
I don't know if we want to make that decision.
The wild card or something.
Yeah, or having an artist. Like, what is the artist going to bring? Yeah. But the artist is going to bring fun, right?
And entertainment.
And entertainment.
Which is necessary. They say if you have a go bag or you are thinking about packing one, a deck of cards. Pack it.
I mean, it's very small, compact. You can do a bunch of things with it. Magic tricks.
Or play games if you find any other survivors.
Or 52 card pickup.
Or solitaire if you don't find any other
52
survivors.
card pickup. Boom. Best game there is. So, your favorite movie, did you narrow it down?
Yeah, I said this is the end. Definitely.
Okay.
Because of the entertainment factor, the comedic factor in the way it was presented.
Okay.
Painted it in a light where, they take a serious situation and, made
it's
it
a
laughable.
fair judgment.
Like, if that's how I go, that's how I would want to go. The apocalypse is upon us. I'd be like, all right, man, let's hang out with friends and get into weird stuff.
Sure. Let's see. I don't know what I would pick. I'm always bad about this. I'm always good about asking, and I'm never good at answering. But if I had to pick one, I would go with Shaun of the Dead, just because that was one of my favorite movies growing up. So
that's a good one.
You got red on you, Vic. You got red on you. The pen. Yeah. So I thought that movie was great. It was really silly. I think that started off his career too, Simon Pegg. That was like his first movie.
There were 3 in the trilogy.
Impossible.
There was Hot Fuzz.
That was after. So
Shaun
it was
of
Shaun of
the
the Dead,
Dead.
Hot Fuzz, and then... Oh, the one where they bar hopped. That's another alien invasion.
Yeah, that was another apocalypse one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the alien invasion.
That
where they
wasn't
went
called
to...
This Is the End. No, it was called
No, I don't know.
The End of the World Cafe or something.
I think it's just called The End of the World. And they went from pub to pub, and they were supposed to drink. It was a big pub crawl, maybe 6 or 7 pubs in England or something like that. Is that what it's called? This is the end? Or
no,
the end is
find it.
Near. That was a pretty good movie. I mean, and I forgot what he called it. What was the trifecta he called?
Cornetto.
What?
Cornetto.
No, what's the Napoleon ice cream, right?
Neapolitan, but it's Cornetto. It's named after a type of ice cream, like
the World's End
cone thing. The World's End.
Yep, pub. That was it. So Vic, we settled the verses.
Settled it.
Obviously my choice was better than yours per usual, because my opinion matters more.
Unacceptable.
But what do you think about the beer? Are you able to even walk around right now? Do you think you can get up and walk around without falling?
It was beer.
It was beer.
It's a classic.
Wow.
So when you have a refined palate like I do, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but you could taste the situation. It's an IPA. If you like IPAs, great. It's gonna taste pretty good. Be a standard set, but it's not gonna like break any walls for you to try something new. The Citra hops are very, very clear and defined within it. Definitely better the first couple sips, and as it got warmer throughout the episode, it lost a little bit for me.
Yeah,
but
I've seen that happen.
Yeah, not super impressed.
Wow.
Take that. Wow. Space Dust.
Space Dust. Where the hops blowing the space dust in our face. I would give it a solid 3.7 out of 5 out of 3.
3.7 out
would
of 5
beer again.
out of
Would beer again.
3.75 out of 3.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Out of 5.
3.7 out of 5. I'll give it a 3.5.
Okay, so it's definitely above average. I mean, if you like, I hate to use this like metaphor. Metaphors are like or as, right? Simile. Metaphor.
Simile.
Okay. Simile? Okay, anyways. Comparing it to a Blue Moon, because that is the baseline for citrus beers, right?
I mean, that's
this is more of an IPA, hoppier
as opposed to wheat
like
citrus.
Yeah, and but you don't taste that much in terms of the hops for the beer. but you do taste that citrus sweetness, and obviously ice cold. It's delivers.
Delivers for you.
Not too heavy. 8.2%. But you wouldn't notice it.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't notice it. And we've had others on the podcast before where they are heavy hitters, but they're more drinkable than this one was.
Yeah.
I feel like, you have one, you're good, whereas we've had others on the show that are closing in on that 8%. It might be 7 point something, but you could sit back and drink those all day.
I could drink 2 of these, be okay with it.
Fair. And that would be all you need.
That's probably all you do need. So, that's it for the podcast.
That's the podcast today. What are we talking about? The apocalypse.
We talked about the apocalypse.
We did. And we appreciate you guys giving us a listen, whether it's via YouTube or via SoundCloud or via iTunes. And that's where we would kind of recommend you go.
Yeah.
Leave us a review.
Leave those reviews.
Leave us some comments on any platform that you feel so inclined to. Definitely helps to drive our exposure and to give us ideas for future episodes and future beverages. Don't forget to check out the new YouTube channel this year.
That's right. We got videos up.
Under Mischievous Media. We will be releasing episodes as we release them on SoundCloud and iTunes.
That is the goal. Right now, a little bit lag behind, but expect the video to come up a few days later. The goal is to come out at the same time, though.
But be sure to leave us messages, comments on things to try and to rate and things to talk about.
All right, that's it from us in podcast land, wherever we are.
Here we are.
Always remember, guys, drinks are better with friends.